I'm Derek.
And I'm Noah, and you're listening to a tiny little bitty episode of A Bite Of,
where we take our current favorite pop culture obsession and enjoy it one nibble at a time.
Tiny little itty bitty bit.
Or a big one.
True.
Whoa, slow motion walking.
Because ants can go big and small.
Yes, that is what Ant-Man has taught me.
All right, before we get into our review of Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, make sure you're following us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and all the other social medias. A Bite of Pod. We got a Patreon. Like the show? Want to support the show? Just give $1 or more. Get bonus exclusive content, free stuff. We have a new series coming out that we have announced on Patreon, but just look out for it. You'll know it when you see it.
Secrets.
And then don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, all that great stuff. That's what gives us the emotional currency we need to continue to survive.
Emotional currency of your support. Priceless.
Last but not least, because I always forget this, Discord. We got a Discord. All these links are down below, so just scroll down. You'll see it. And then also bonus, Spotify is now allowing podcasters to do polls and questions. So if you're listening to this on Spotify, just look on the episode and you can partake.
There are just so many ways to interact with us.
A lot. Too much.
Come live in our house. Come do yard work with us. We'd really appreciate it.
All right. So let's get into this review. We got to know. Let's just lay out the plot.
You got it. Local superhero and author Scott Lang is leading a peaceful and fame-filled life after the blip. Worrying mostly about selfies with dogs and his daughter Cassie, he's been taking it easy and is trying to enjoy this peaceful moment in time. Unbeknownst to him and Janet, his daughter, Hope, and Hank have been working on a project to map out the quantum realm in case they ever get lost there again. Unfortunately, the signal they have been sending into the realm has alerted past enemies of both Scott and Janet's whereabouts. Janet tries to shut the device down, but it is too late, and the insectile quintet is sucked into the quantum realm. The world within has been taken over by the nefarious Kang the Conqueror. Yo! Oh my god! Oh, Ant-Man.
Okay. Spoiler alert for the MCU and Ant-Man and Quantumania-ness, except for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. We will not be talking about that. So you're fine.
Spoiler alert. So let us officially take a bite of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
All right. So it is now on Disney Plus. Everybody is able to watch it. No excuses. We can talk freely about this. What did you feel? Like, how, general thoughts, your feelings after the credits rolled? What were your thoughts?
General thoughts is that I want the titles to keep getting longer. I want them to have to go back into the quantum realm. So it's Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Here we go again. Kang's back. Let's rock.
It's just like Ant-Man. He gets bigger.
You're right.
And the titles have gotten bigger and they just keep throwing words
and
on
the
it.
more the universe keeps expanding with the quantum realm and all the time loops and everything like that, we just need multiple titles. But I mean, after the credits rolled, I feel like I say this a lot. I was like, it's a fun romp.
You can't say that for every movie.
But do you know what I mean? Like, it just kind of, it feels like, did it hit the marks? Yes, it was like a superhero story with a really big bad, and there was family stuff and action stuff. Check.
So you just
it's a Marvel movie.
The Incredibles.
Which I think had a little more emotional depth than this did. So overall, I think it was very entertaining. I think it was not the strongest, though, I would say, in the Marvel suite.
Yeah, I thought it was fine. We'll talk about like how we feel about the Ant-Man trilogy as a whole. I was surprised on like how much this didn't go way out there, especially with it being the first like phase 5 thing, introducing the big bad for this saga. I have like thoughts. I'm just kind of like, oh, it was fine.
I'm just kind of curious. What do you mean by like out there?
Just like going really big.
Oh, okay.
I felt like even though we were in the quantum realm and it's technically smaller, they could have went bigger. I don't know. It just felt like it was almost missing that one thing for me.
Mm.
But that's kind of how I feel about it.
I agree. Like it's hard now, right? Because now we're piecing together movies with television shows and then sometimes little Marvel specials and things like that. But something like She-Hulk, I feel like had more to it than this. And this is, I always think of the movies as the bigger thing,
right?
You know, than the television shows, even though they all piece together.
Yeah.
So I get that. I feel like I've been moved and entertained more by some of the TV shows than I did this.
Yeah, the emotionalness was kind of lacking. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, disclaimer before we really get into this, everything happening with Jonathan Majors, we do not want to make it seem like we don't know that that's happening. All the allegations against them, they need to go through due process and everything like that. We're talking about Kang the character prior to all of this happening. We do not condone any type of abuse, violence, anything like that, regardless if it's just allegations or not. So
absolutely.
Now we can talk about the movie.
Okay.
So it was interesting to start the way, well, I guess it wasn't interesting. It was predictable that they started the movie the way they did, with just Scott being Scott. He's funny. It's the inner monologue, him walking through the streets, but the fact that not only Big Me, Little Me, the book, is also a real book in real life, it's just such a Scott thing to do. Like, of course, he would do a book and a podcast and go on tour and everything like that after Endgame. He's really the only one. I mean, we don't know what the other Avengers are really doing, but I guess what else would you do?
It's kind of funny. Well, after Endgame, right, you figure like Doctor Strange and Spider-Man are dealing with their whole mess on their side of the country, and Scarlet Witch is going through some stuff. But Scott's like, I'm going to write a book.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a podcast. And I appreciate that. I would think that after, being blipped and being trapped in the quantum realm for years, I might want some time to just lay back and express myself creatively.
Yeah. I mean, Tony's gone. That's a huge source of income that they probably have. I still want to know how the Avengers get paid. Like, do they only get stuff that's at Avengers Campus, or do they get some type of salary?
It's either the Stony Tark Fund, or good old Stony Tark. Remember the days of Stony Tark?
Yeah.
Or you have to have a book deal.
You
need to support yourself in some way.
I do agree with Cassie, who this time is played by Catherine Newton. I don't know why they changed the actors, but
she's older now.
She's the girl that played Cassie in, what was it, Endgame? It was Endgame or Infinity? Yeah, one of those two. She was just as old as her. So I'm like, why did you change the actor?
She's retired from acting.
Yeah, I heard that she found out that she was replaced on social media. So,
oh, that's so sad.
Yeah,
I think a lot about being cast in these Marvel movies, and like sometimes, like if you're a sub character, being like, "Well, this is it. I guess I'll never be a hero."
Yeah, but now she has like a lead role in a movie, and they're like, "Get her out."
Well, that exactly. It's like, oh, this is going to be good. I know who this character becomes, and then one day your freaking TikTok is like, nope.
But I agree with her character in the beginning of the movie. She's very much trying to do something. She's trying to be proactive. And she kind of tells Scott, like, you're not doing, like, what are you doing? You're just doing book deals, blah, blah, blah. And it's kind of true. Like, is he scared to kind of put himself out there? Does he not really know what to do? Because the Avengers aren't really a thing anymore. But I agree with her. I agree with that. He needs to, like, be proactive.
I think that Cassie needs to mind her own business. Her father has been through tons of trauma. His best friends have died. And she's like, stop being a baby. I'm like, let Scott live his life.
Okay.
He needs to rest a little.
Let's just be clear. She did lose her dad for a while. So,
which should mean she should want to spend even more quality time together instead of trying to send him out on missions.
It's true. Or they go together. Why not make it a family affair?
She does have a suit. Secret revealed.
But so, Quantum Realm. Okay. So we got the beginning. I thought it was right up there with normal Ant-Man behavior from the past two movies, especially the first one. I felt like the beginning of it felt more like the first one. Once we kind of get to the Quantum Realm, I do feel like it changes a bit. Most, if not all of this movie is really filmed in like CGI and special effects, which I don't know how that's just a lot to like act in nothing but a blue room.
Right.
Things on
with
phone
dots
sticks
all over your face.
Yeah. But the quantum realm was fine. Like it was an exotic alien place that seemed to have no rules. I thought the creatures and everything looked cool, but
Yeah, I don't know why, but I always thought the quantum realm was like multiple realms, but this seemed to just be like one sort of Tatooine-like place. It felt very Star Wars to me. You know, it's like sort of deserty, sort of futuristic, lots of random creatures cohabitating together. There was basically an entire cantina scene here. So it felt very sci-fi, very sort of let's show some funny creatures. But as far as like the mythos of the quantum realm, I felt like, yeah, it could have been more.
Yeah, it's from what we know, the little bit that Janet decided to share with everybody because she's been hiding stuff
Janet
in her 30 years that she was down there. I'm assuming it's like the smaller you go, the more of the areas in the quantum and subatomic whatever you can get to. I liked the creatures. I liked the stuff they introduced, right? And we got some like quantum people that got introduced for the first time, which is nice to see that, oh, there is more there that could be explored. But I feel like Kang got these people that he took over their home, destroyed their home, and there's like freedom fighters and everything. It was okay. Like, it did feel very Star Wars. This is the most like Star Wars Marvel movie we've gotten, but it was very much like it's copy and paste, or it's like traditional. Like, yes, there's a person that came and took the thing, and these people are trying to get there.
It's the rebellion.
Yeah. It's like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, part of me also wanted to sort of piece together like these quantum people or whatever they were a little more. They felt a little disparate to me. It was like no one really had a through line. Like, you know, when you're watching Star Wars, it's like, oh, these people are that people. This is that. Like, this was just a bunch of different things.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only argument I could make with that is, okay, I guess he took over all of their homes, so they're all banding together.
Sure.
Which makes sense. But, they were just there and then gone and then back. So I wonder if it was just more they had to fill out the world with livable things to make it seem more alive. I mean, we got some standout moments, though. We got William Jackson Harper as Quaz. I was in the camp of assuming he would have been a bigger role in the movie, or like a bigger character that could possibly continue in the MCU. Because he, along with myself, a lot of people thought he would make a good Reed Richards. And when I first heard he was in this movie, I was like, oh, maybe Reed Richards is exploring the quantum realm. This is perfect way to introduce him. He's just a telepath. Which is fine. I mean, he could be like, I was in the MCU. I'm done.
He's one of those people that I think about, who I think could offer so much more to the cinematic universe, but has just now been used in this one role.
Yeah. I mean, if they were to bring him back, I don't think it would land as big as a character that would make sense for the stories to continue.
Yeah. And I guess they'd have to go back into the quantum realm. Would he have to come out of the quantum realm? Can people come out of the quantum realm if they're not originally from Earth?
Yeah.
Okay, well then, fingers crossed.
They just have to get big.
What if they come out and they're still tiny?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
But speaking of new characters and new introductions, one of the bigger ones that was introduced in there is MODOK.
Oh, boy.
Mechanized organism designed only for killing. Played by Corey Stoll, who played Yellow Jacket in the first one. We know his fate. He apparently just turned into a small, tiny, big head.
So stretched.
I thought this was a fine way to introduce that character. I'm not the type of person that needs MODOK to be more than what this was. MODOK is ridiculous. He looks ridiculous. He looked exactly like what I think they could have done in live action to make a giant floating head. that only is designed for killing.
So for some reason, MODOK reminds me very much of that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle villain. That's that like brain inside the robot. Do you know that one? But I was like looking at this thing that kind of just looks like a stretched out face on a television screen. And I was like, maybe we should have gone back to like Star Wars puppetry or something here. You know, I just thought the effect could have been done a little better.
Yeah, I mean, so you're talking more about practical versus...
Right.
It could have worked, maybe. I mean, I think either way, it would have just looked ridiculous.
Sure.
Which is supposed to. I know a lot of people were kind of like, it looks ridiculous. It's like, yeah, it's a giant floating head with tiny arms.
Yeah, tiny arms and legs.
It's supposed to look ridiculous. I thought his arc through it was weird. Like, he did try to murder Cassie, a child.
Quite a number of times.
And then, like, now he's not a dick. And all it took was Cassie, like, turning big and being like, just don't be a dick. And he's like, I'm not a dick. It's kind of just like almost like threw away the character development almost for a joke. I don't know.
Yeah, I believe when we meet him as MODOK, I believe his motivation in that moment, right? He got banished to the quantum realm by Ant-Man. He's furious. He wants to enact revenge. By getting banished to the quantum realm, he's now ahead, which is upsetting, I would think. I also want to know where he ended up getting his whole metal getup from, but whatever. We don't have time. Kang gave it to him?
Oh, I think you were in the restroom whenever that happened. We got to see his tiny little butt.
Hilarious.
He was naked and then they put armor on him.
Oh.
Yeah.
I missed that. Well, then there you go. Okay,
Yeah.
that answers that question. But I understand that motivation of obviously being furious and want to get revenge. And of course, you know, what's the thing that Scott holds most dear to his heart? It's his daughter. Okay, I get it. But yes, I agree. We had that arc. And then what? Because he was losing, he was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to just kind of stop.
I mean, if you've ever watched MODOK, the Hulu show, Patton Oswalt voices MODOK, it's hilarious. It's like very much a not cow and chicken, cheese, robot chicken take on like a Family Guy almost. It's really funny, but MODOK is silly. I just think that like they made him super silly in this one when like, you know, Darren wasn't silly like that.
Very serious.
So I don't know if like just becoming a head made him like ridiculous.
Maybe the quantum realm just like messes with your brain or something like that. He's just like so hell-bent he cannot see anything but his rage.
Yeah, it was I think he was funny. It did its thing. I don't think I need more MODOK. If it does happen, fine. But
yeah, I will say though that I thought Cassie, following in the footsteps of Scott in many of the Avengers movies, really did give the sort of laughter, like the lines of laughter, you know, like that whole thing about don't be a dick and then drink the ooze. Like she kind of got to deliver some of those one-liners that were funny.
Yeah, that Scott probably normally would have.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think Catherine Newton was great as Cassie. We have most of our young Avengers or champions, whatever you want to call them.
Just give them to us already.
I would love to see her and Kate Bishop interact with each other and then throw America Chavez in there. I mean, it'd be fantastic. I think she brought some goodness to this character and added a new dynamic to our team. But I gotta say, the writing in this movie was interesting. When it came to Kang, it was fine. Like the lines, not the delivery necessarily, but the things that were being said. But, you know, Scott and Cassie just kept calling for each other for like most of this movie. And I get it. They want to protect each other and get out of there and everything. But it did seem like a lot.
Yeah, I feel like the writing in the movie overall delivered well on the evil soliloquy. It delivered well on the action sequences. But what it lacked was the heart in a lot of it. I think a lot of it was real. You could see that in the relationship between Cassie and Scott.
And their faces. It's just what they were saying.
Right.
Was like, it almost took away from what was happening a little bit.
Yeah. It's like, it was literally like me being like, well, they care a lot for each other. Right. and I know this because Scott would say, I care a lot for you.
Yeah.
It's kind of like,
She's my daughter.
She's my daughter. Like, there was no nuance to anything. It was all just very much, I want to save my daughter. She's my daughter. Where's my daughter?
Yeah. And
not without my daughter.
There was stakes, right? And there was moments where they were separated. It was like, oh, I hope that they get back together. But like, there wasn't almost with her and MODOK kind of facing off, and then like her, being captured by Kang. There wasn't moments where I was like, oh, they're really in danger.
Agreed.
Did that feel weird?
Yeah.
Am I the only one?
No, not at all. And I even think there were like some things that were like a little confusing. So they end up going into the quantum realm together, right? Scott and Cassie, and they find each other and they're sort of captured by this rebellion. And then at some point they got separated for so long that Cassie could drink the ooze before her dad could drink. Like, when did that happen?
Yeah, there was some weird editing in there. I think she was more okay with drinking whatever they gave him than Scott freaking out.
But they were brought in together, captured together. Yeah. And then at some point she was captured enough to become comfortable, drink the ooze, understand what everybody had to say, be like, Dad, drink the ooze. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
When did that happen? Yeah. And then I even think, just even speaking of the stakes, right? So there's the part where she is separated from him and she's in Kang's ship. Like, she's very easily able to get around.
Oh yeah. Once you're able to get small, it's fine.
Yeah. Kang is like furious, but not realizing that like things are going on his ship. I'm like, what is happening?
I mean, the foot soldiers, let's be honest, his army that he built,
orb heads,
really aren't smart.
The blue balls.
They seem very.
They have like blue ball heads.
All you said was blue balls.
Well, yeah.
But they really didn't seem intelligent. Like
were they?
No idea what they were.
Okay.
Don't ask me. I don't know.
Okay. No, but you knew what I was asking.
Yeah. I have no...
robots? Brains? I don't know.
He made them. So that's all I know.
They're made of Kang dust.
Yeah. Kang farts. They're just Kang farts.
Magical.
But, okay, so writing, I feel like, between Scott and Cassie was a little weird. But when it came to Kang and Janet, I thought it was really well done. And the funny thing is, I felt Hope in this movie took a backseat.
Oh, 100%.
Hope had some great moments action-wise and like saving when she needed to. But like, really, she was just mad at her mom. Fine. Understand that. It was great. But Janet really Michelle Pfeiffer stole the show in this. And I feel like her relationship with Kang is very interesting. I liked that they showed, okay, she's hiding a secret. What is it? And it's not just because she knows of Kang, but she knew Kang really well. She killed it. She really killed it in that part.
I appreciated that we got a glimpse into what happened in the 3 decades when she was gone.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just like, oh, someone was gone for 30 years. Okay, cool. It was like, well, this was something that happened to her. This was someone that she met and needed to stop and escape. It's unfortunate that her actions created the Conqueror in the realm.
But she did stop him.
She did, but not well enough, apparently. I mean, I thought she should have just broken the darn thing, but no, she biggened it or whatever.
She made it big. You know who I didn't like her relationship with? Bill Murray, Lord Krylar. It was... it just seemed like Bill Murray was just in there to be Bill Murray, and then he got his paycheck and left. I
mean, that's the thing with Bill Murray. I think Bill Murray is now in things to be Bill Murray, and they sometimes just put like a magical cape on him. The audience goes wild.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I don't have anything against him. I just thought, I was like, okay, fine.
And also, like, he sort like he double crossed her, but then they got away, so it was fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Well, I think he got eaten.
He did.
Yeah. They made that thing that he ate big. Yeah. Which
that was probably the most heart-wrenching scene.
When he ate the little creature.
And you heard it crunch and cry. Yeah. And it was scared for its life. It was terrible. It's like when they killed the shoe in Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's sad.
Yeah.
It's weird how we can attach to fake things like that.
That is why Pixar's Up is the most emotionally wrecking movie in the world.
But okay, so Janet.
Oh, yeah.
And Kang.
Hair in the wind.
This is, finding out that Kang was exiled there. by his others, the consortium of Kangs, the Council of Kangs. And he's trying to double cross her. And all he's doing is just eliminating everything that doesn't agree with his timeline for him to be the best one, or supposedly to stop his future self from doing whatever. It's very hard to pinpoint with Kang. Like, is he telling the truth? He's probably not doing the right thing. He thinks he is. Okay, so you're killing trillions and billions of places and people to stop yourself. But isn't the actions you're doing now leading you to the future you? Or are you trying to find that one? It's very time and multiverse is confusing.
And also, he can go wherever he wants, so he could stop himself, but then decide, meh, I'll go back and I'll let myself.
But is it future self knows what past self is going to do, so he can always escape him because he knows what he's going to do? How does this work?
Well, now I'm thoroughly confused. Right? So she touches the orb in the ship.
And she sees all the stuff that he's done.
Right. And she's like, uh-oh, you're bad news bears.
Right.
And he's like, but I'll bring you back home to your little jelly bean.
Which is fine.
Hope's jelly bean.
Yes.
What's Cassie?
Peanut butter?
Ladybug.
I think it's peanut butter.
Peanut butter?
I don't know.
Well, I got confused with the food references. And she, and you know, obviously she's like, no, she doesn't want to do that. But instead of him saying, right, so they spent all this time together, they got to know each other. Why didn't he just like lay it out on the line? Like, be like, listen, this is what's happening.
Because he's doing it the wrong way. Like, he hid it on purpose. He was trying to, he put the wool over her eyes to like get what he wanted. And it's like, if you think you're doing the right thing, you should be able to say what you're doing. The fact that you did not tell her.
He's got conscience, and his conscience is bad.
Is not good.
Right. Right.
Right. So, but Michelle Pfeiffer, I feel like, stole the show. Also, Hank, Michael Douglas, great. Every time he's on scene, I'm like, I love this character. He's great.
Absolutely. He's like, look, I'm still the original OG Ant-Man.
Yep.
The ants are my BFFs.
Yep.
Also, I want to know how his arms felt after days of filming, driving that jelly ship thing.
I wonder if that was real. Like, was part of it had to have been real, I guess. But like, it did look real. And does it feel like, you know, those old things that were in like those, they're almost like bags, and they'd have like sea stuff in it.
Yes.
And you could like move it. Does anybody else know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Do you know what it's called?
Bag of sea stuff.
No.
Jelly fun good time rolly bag.
Yeah, like it had a hole in the middle, but it was
It was like it was like a infinite loop of jelly.
Yeah. So that's what came to my mind when he stuck his hands in there, because I would always try to like stick my hand in that and it felt weird, and I was just like, I know what he's feeling.
That's another thing about this world. It's very like
chaotic.
Well, no, it's everything is a mix between machine and organic.
Yeah, which is cool.
What's very cool, right? Yeah. Buildings can walk and come alive. And
did you see this scene?
No.
In one of whenever Kang's people found the freedom fighters, did you see, maybe it was at the end, but one of the buildings holding
another building.
Yeah, because it died.
It was terrible.
It's so sad.
It's very sad.
Again, I felt for a building more than I felt for Scott and Cassie.
I mean, is it because we ultimately know that Scott and Cassie will be fine?
I think so.
Right? So it's kind of like, all right, come on, let's get through this. We know what's happening.
You know, that's an interesting point, though, with these movies. I think with titular characters like that, they've conditioned us almost to be like, they're gonna be fine. It's more about like where they're going to then set up the next thing. I know Ant-Man's gonna be fine. They're not gonna kill Ant-Man in this movie. And they're not gonna kill Cassie because she just got introduced. You know, so it's like, it's fine. I was scared for Janet and Hank.
I mean, I looked over at you at one point and I was like, is Janet going to make it? And you were like, I don't know.
Yeah, probably not.
Probably not. I think she's going to be DED dead.
I'm glad she did, though.
No, me too. I do want to say, though, kind of just going on your comment about the titular characters, this movie felt like a bridge and not necessarily a standout, monument.
Well, I think that's partly because they're trying to introduce Kang. He's such a complex and weird character that it wasn't until 20 minutes, 30 minutes in that we actually got to see Kang. But to me, it wasn't enough. Like, I'm not sure how to feel about Kang, you know?
I agree. And I don't know. I don't know. The Kangs that we see, right? They almost feel a little comical.
Right. Right. It's hard to tell with that character. I mean, I guess that's the point, right? It's hard to be like, is this guy good or bad? What is he thinking? He's kind of manic. He's definitely sinister in some way because he thinks that he's the end all be all and I know to make these decisions or whatever. Yeah, I'm interested. Was this the right avenue to introduce the big bad for this saga? Or
And does he feel big and bad enough?
I mean, he seemed more intimidating in Loki as He Who Remains than this Kang did. I mean, granted, whenever, the big climactic fight, when he was just literally blipping people with his hand beams or whatever, which looked cool as hell, that was intimidating. I think the acting was done well in those scenes because he can really, exemplify that emotion that he's trying to do. He seemed intimidating that way. And then when he did the hand-in-hand combat with Scott, felt like, oh shit, he's stomping on his face.
Because he's a big dude,
right?
So when you see him coming at Scott,
but I think I need more. I think I need more to see, like, even in Loki, he necessarily wasn't doing anything to the timeline. Really, more Loki and Sylvie were.
He should have eaten an apple in this. Yeah. Him eating the apple in Loki was more menacing than anything in this.
He Who Remains was like charming, but also like terrifying, but also I wanted more.
More diabolical.
Right. And this Kang almost seemed like it could have they could go away and another one could replace him. Right.
That Kang felt like that Kang in Loki was playing a chess game, was making very smart, precise moves when dealing with the two of them. This one, he was just like, kill them, get Janet.
He was desperate.
I want my orb.
Yeah, I mean, he was desperate, so I guess I'll give him that. And a little sloppy. But, like, how long have you been down there? Be better.
He made an entire civilization. He should be better. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, I think his motivations are interesting. The motivations of, like, him wanting to fix things because he thinks it's right. But it does echo Thanos just a little bit. Thanos is like, resources and everybody's dying, so I have to wipe out half the people so that way there's more resources for everybody. Kang is like, I'm the best thing. I'm saving everybody. Let me destroy everything to make sure it's okay. It's almost the same.
What they should have done is just make Kang officially blue and not just give him the face mask that makes him blue.
I don't mind it.
Well, I thought it was a clever way to make him blue, but it's like, if we made Thanos different colors, and like, why couldn't have, you know what I mean? The big bad's the big bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to have tons of variants that whoever is playing Kang or whatever they decide to do with that character, or even if they just scrap Kang altogether,
dissolve him.
Right, but we might get some interesting ones. But I mean, it does beg the question of, when's the next time we would see this character, and do they need to make him more formidable as like the universal threat? Because I don't think we're there yet.
I mean, maybe this could have very well have been a sub Kang. There might be the big Kang.
Well, he's supposed to be the big Kang. He's the conqueror. He's like Kang the Conqueror.
I don't believe that. By this movie, I do not believe that.
I mean, maybe if he gets out of the quantum realm and he has access to more things that are in the quantum realm, maybe he's scarier.
Yeah.
But, and I don't mean this as a dig to Ant-Man. Ant-Man's great. But Ant-Man pretty much beat Kang in this movie. So, like,
with the help of the Wasp.
Yeah, that's true. But, like, he stood up to him quite a bit.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, he needs to be bigger.
Yes.
Like, Thanos going head to head with the Hulk and just completely knocking him out. And then everything he did the first time we really saw him in Infinity War, totally terrifying. This one I'm not sold yet.
And yeah, you know, that's the point. I think that's a good point. Not sold yet, right? So we've only seen, we saw the version of Kang and Loki who was only in it for like the last 15 minutes of the last episode. We had, 3 movies to fear Thanos? We got to see him kill one of his daughters, torture the other one,
Well, when you put it that way.
crush Vision's head.
Okay.
You know what I mean? We saw how menacing and scary he was. We definitely didn't get that with Kang in this movie. Hopefully we're building on the evil in the movies to come.
Yeah, we have Avengers Kang Dynasty, so I'm sure it's going to be big. And I'm not expecting him to be like all guns a-blazing yet, but it was an interesting way to introduce that character. I thought it was fine. The accent or the way that Majors was delivering some of the lines, I was confused. Like I'm not sure like he had to do it differently so many times, and like, oh, that's the way he's going to do it. But he's more menacing when he's just talking normally.
Yes. Well, that's what was very confusing, is that when he first meets Janet, right, in the flashback, he is, for all intents and purposes, American.
Yeah.
Right? He has
yeah.
an American accent. Then later on in the movie, he's like lightly Shakespearean.
He is through all space and time.
And then by the end, from Wakanda.
Yeah, he can do whatever he wants.
I was like
getting mixed up.
And I was like, oh, well, maybe there's multiples of him, which there is, but not in one body.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know about this. It was like they're like every day they were like, try another one.
But I will say, so this one feels different than He Who Remains.
Totally.
And we saw a bunch of other ones. So I think we err on the side of caution of like, okay, he's going to be different whenever we see him next. Or there's going to be a different type of way it's delivered. Because I guess Ant-Man at the base is usually more of a comedy anyway. And I'm not saying that Kang was being comedic, but, sometimes it's just a different feel whenever they're in one movie and another movie. So I'm holding out hope that, like, he might be different. The way he delivers stuff might be a little different.
Okay, I'll give you that. I think it's more like a thing of when you go on vacation to a place for a really long time and then you come back with that accent.
I don't know that.
It's like a thing. It's like you go to, like, it's like your friend visits Australia for like 2 weeks and they come back. They're like, all right.
Yeah.
You want to get the Bobby out? And you're like, what? You're from Queens. Quit it. What's your problem?
All right. So action in this movie. Great.
There was action.
I thought it was fine. There was a lot of fun moments. When they were really big, it felt really slow. A little too slow.
I keep trying to, I'm like, I keep trying to make that make sense in my mind. I'm like, yes, because they're big, they would be slow. I'm like, is that true?
I go, yeah, apparently.
I mean, Hulk is pretty big and he's always running and crashing into things.
To be fair, he's not like stories high.
Do they ever talk about if it hurts?
Well, your metabolism, like you burn off everything when you're big. That's why Cassie, when she was doing it for the first time, like fainted.
And that was another funny thing, the whole citrus conversation about wanting to be hungry and wanting citrus. But yeah, there was a lot of big stuff. There was a lot of little stuff. I also like the little sort of training that he was giving her of how to punch people in the face.
Yeah, it's like jump big, jump big. Yeah, that's great. It was CGI heavy, but I think they were smart in the way that they did some of it. There was moments where it felt very isolated, very close counters fighting, and then big, massive fights. Yeah.
What did you think of the portion when they went into the orb and they were in the probability storm or whatever they called it?
I thought that was fine. You had to have your hero moment. He was figuring it out. He needed, hope to really center his mind. Yeah. I thought it was neat. It was a cool thing to do. I'm not sure if that really, it means anything outside of this movie, but it was funny. Like there was funny
just
moments.
Fun and funny, yeah.
And it was cool to watch. And, it was very ant-like, building a bridge and going up.
Good point.
It was fine. That's the hero moment. That's the moment where like the hero's down in his luck or like he lost his powers and like he just needs to believe in himself.
He's going to have to give in to the enemy. Oh no.
Yeah. Yeah. So even that though, like the deal felt okay. Yeah. You have to do this thing for him. I wish it was almost like a heist, a bigger heist or something. Cause that's like the roots of Scott Lang. That's the roots of this Ant-Man. So I almost wish it was like he had to like, I don't know, go somewhere and steal it or go into Kang's place to steal. That's kind of what I was hoping, but it was fine.
Yeah, a lot of it was just sort of people honoring or not honoring their word.
Right.
If you go in there, I won't kill you and I'll give you your daughter.
Which is a great message. Our word is our bond.
Very true.
Which he literally said in this movie.
Make a promise, don't break it. How you lose friends.
But the standout, the ants. The ants.
Heroes.
They're amazing. And Hank just waltzes in. He's like, oh, here, Kang's going to get taken out by some ants.
You know, he said these ants set up the most well-working society. It took them one day, which was for them 1,000 years. But they just had all the answers and we're the fools. And now they're going to save us all. And I believed every second of it. They had their little Ant-Man helmets, their Ant-Man helmets. And they were like, let's do this.
Yeah.
See you never, Kang. Die.
They were great. I loved them so much. And I liked how Hank could like understand them or knew it was them communicating with his hearing device.
Yeah. Hank is like, what? How do you all think you got here? Where do you think these suits came from? It was from the ants. When in doubt, turn to the ants. Stop being ridiculous. Welcome your ant friends.
You can't just be called Ant-Man and not rely on the ants.
Hello. I mean, remember in the first movie, he had best friends that were ants.
Yeah, Anthony.
Don't. Oh, you brought it up.
R.I.P. Anthony.
R.I.P. You know, I knew something small and delightful was going to die in this one because they love doing that in these Ant-Man movies.
Yeah.
Especially that poor Ant.
Yeah. All right. So, standout moments. Was there a moment in this movie that stood out to you?
In a good way or a bad way?
I would say good way. We've been pretty critical about this movie. Let's do it a good way.
So I actually want to talk about one of the standout people in it, one of the standout characters, which was Jentora, played by Katie M. O'Brien.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, if you listen to, if you know us, we love Katie M. O'Brien from Mandalorian. So I was so excited to see them in this. It's like, oh, they're in another role. This is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And again, they played like a really badass character.
Complicated one, too.
Complicated indeed, but could work a staff like nobody's business.
Also, her staff or whatever, I don't know what it was, whenever she'd hit people with it and they'd like kind of like poof.
Yeah.
But like it was stopped in motion. Oh, that was so cool. Some of those effects in this movie, I was like, this is so cool. And this is what movies are for. It's like cool moments like that.
Absolutely. And I really appreciated the scene when Cassie freed them and they got out and they started kicking butt.
Yeah.
I love, a strong character who's maybe, female presenting that can just kick a lot of ass.
Oh, yeah. They're amazing. I can't wait to see what they do. I hope they have like a long career ahead of them. Again, probably not in the MCU unless they're a variant of some sort. But I'm glad that they are getting their bag because it's due.
Yes, we need a Jentora Quaz side quest adventure. Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania 0.5.
Marvel Studios special presentation.
That's what I'm saying. Absolutely.
So I mentioned my standout moment earlier, but it's really the Janet and Kang. That whole snippet that we saw.
The flashback?
Yeah, that's my kind of scene. I liked how the tension was building. That was the most tension in any of this movie. I loved seeing her kind of open up to somebody else and being nice and still having that like maternal instinct to somebody that needs help. And then she opened up to him as well. But it makes for an interesting connection with the character. This is his big villain. She could have warned everybody about it. She didn't do it. Why? But she was just trying to protect everybody.
Yeah, I mean, Janet has secrets. Janet knows that when you come across the flying mantis people of the quantum desert, you need to cut one of their arms off and stab them in the chest in order to get a ride.
Yeah. Janet is amazing. She's my favorite Wasp in the comics. She's amazing. Best friends with She-Hulk. I love her. And I love this version of her. This older one that we didn't really get to see as Wasp.
In the next Ant-Man and the Wasp and the Ant-Man and the Wasp, because I'm counting all four of them, I want them to have suits as well.
Yeah. We only got a tiny glimpse of their suits whenever she got lost in the quantum realm.
Right.
I wish we did see more.
It would be cool if they had suits as well.
Everybody, family outing.
And I'm all about like, it's Power Rangers. I'm like, what are the colors? Who's doing what? I'm like, what would Hank have? Hank would probably have like a gray, right? Yeah. Right. What would Janet,
I think he would have the classic Ant-Man suit, right? The helmet would be more like radio like.
That's true.
Antenna, just red suit. blue gloves. I have the comic over here.
Hers would be blue, right? Because like, is the OG Wasp blue?
It's yellow.
Oh, is it yellow?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I thought it was blue. I think
She
I'm
has
thinking-
had blue and red.
Yeah, I'm thinking of like one of the Marvel cards from the 90s.
Yeah. They've had suits.
Bring them back.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
So this is another trilogy that's in the books for Marvel and done by Peyton Reed. He did pretty much all of them. Where does this one fall in the trilogy for you? Like, do you have a favorite Ant-Man movie? Is this kind of up there or down there? I mean, there's only 3, so it could either be one of 3.
I think the first one is my favorite.
Interesting. Yeah, it's good.
And then I think this one comes second, and then the second one comes third.
This did have a noticeably lacking Luis, and
Yeah.
I wish he was in it because he could have recapped something.
Someone on the outside helping them in some way, perhaps.
Or just being like, this is what happened to lead us to Ant-Man 3.
Sure.
Or he could have narrated his book.
Right. Oh, that would have been fun. Narrated by my good friend Luis.
I would have loved that. I would say mine is reversed. So 2 is, I like 2 most, then 1, and then this one. So the third
not,
one.
Not reversed.
Yeah. Yeah. Different. Yeah.
Fair
so
enough.
2, 1, 3.
Yeah.
That's how I rank them.
Fair enough.
But I will say I enjoy all of them. Like I could put this on and watch it again. Great.
Yeah, definitely entertaining. I mean, we come here to experience heartbreak.
What?
We come here to review it, right? And look at it with a more critical. I was doing the Nicole Kidman AMC thing.
I was like, I don't come here for that.
No. So I just feel like we're being a little critical of it, but overall the package was good and it was enjoyable. It wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen.
No, it's not.
Dare I bring up Ghosted?
This is nowhere near Ghosted.
Not at all.
It's nowhere near it. Again, I will reiterate, the only reason why Ghosted got 2 stars when we rated it is because of the cameos in it. It would have gotten 1 if Sebastian Stan and Anthony Mackie were not in it.
Absolutely agree.
So, okay. With Marvel movies, we got end credit scenes.
Here we
got
go.
2 of them. 2. And what do they mean? I don't know.
They were all about Kang.
Yeah, which is fine.
Because I guess you're right. If this is the next big bad, we need all the Kang content that we can get. I was hoping for 1 or 2 other sort of Marvel friend appearances.
I think they don't know, like, they know where they're going, but I feel like they're kind of nervous to put people in, like, things because they might not be in it. A lot of this production stuff has been, like, changing so much even after they announce it. So I wonder if they're kind of nervous to do that. Like, they know Loki is coming out.
Yeah.
It's done. It's coming out this year. So, like, they can be in an end credit scene, but, like, not who's like any of the Hawkeyes. They're not going to put any of them in.
Like, where is Shang-Chi?
Yeah.
Right? It was like at the end of Shang-Chi, we got a scene with him and Katie being whisked off.
He's in the same area as Ant-Man.
Why aren't they commingling? Why aren't they saying hi to each other? What is happening?
Well, so, okay, let's talk about the first mid-end credit scene. So we see all these Kangs.
Oh, so many Kangs, an arena full of Kangs.
But we meet 3 in particular. And to give them names and context, just little short things, because they are important in the comics.
Please enlighten us.
I'm sure they will be important in the future, Kang Dynasty. So there's Immortus. He's the older one, more powerful version of Kang from the very, very far future. That's who he is.
Sort of in the Tron suit.
Well, and he's the one that wants to eliminate a lot of the Kangs, and he wants to be all powerful. There's Ramatut, who's the ancient Egyptian pharaoh. Clearly the one in the pharaoh getup.
Clearly.
It's not going to change for anybody, and he shouldn't. And then there's the younger one. I don't know who he really is. Like, he's the one that didn't really look different. Like, he's just looked younger.
Oh, that's the one in the Tron suit.
Yeah.
So the one from the future is like the one with the big hat.
Yes.
Ah.
Yes. So I'm assuming that he's going to be the Scarlet Sucharian. he's a character that's important. It just makes sense for him to be there. He's not Scarlet yet, so I don't know what that means.
A lot of Scarlet beings in the MCU.
Scarlet Scarab, Scarlet Witch, Scarlet Centurion. You know.
They love it. They said not just red, Scarlet.
Yeah. He is important for his story because I'm not even going to spoil anything if they go that route. But I thought them showing like them in the arena thing was a little silly because they were all acting
ridiculous.
Like they're all Kangs. Why are y'all so excited?
They just get each other riled up.
But the only thing that's important is them showing that these are the Kangs that exiled the Kang that we saw in the movie.
Right.
That's it. And they're pretty much just talking about like, oh, they're dabbling in the multiverse now. Let's not wait. I don't know what that means. They're probably just going to start killing everything.
This was one of the end credit scenes that when I watched it, I was like, I don't know what this means in any way.
We'll see.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's kind of like sometimes you'd be like, oh no, my gosh.
So I think it was misleading a little bit because there's lines that I guess would be important. Like all he said was like, they're touching the multiverse now. That's the most important thing about it. But there was so much going on that it's like, okay, what are you guys meeting about? Like what? What's going on?
Could this meeting have been an email?
Yeah. You told everybody to come. Couldn't you just tell them?
Reply all.
So that one was fine. The second one was my favorite one.
That was fun.
Mostly because we see Mobius and Loki again.
Hanging out. Besties.
But we get to see Victor Timely, which he's a variant of Kang. He goes back into like 1901 Wisconsin, builds a town, becomes the mayor, introduces technology. He's a fraud by going back in time to be like this figure to like introduce all this stuff. But I did like that we got a taste of maybe what's happening in Loki too.
Exactly.
They're hunting for Kangs. They're trying to figure stuff out. And I liked that Mobius was like, this can't be the guy. He seems fine. And Loki's like, no.
That's him.
That's him.
I'd know that face anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's exciting. It's setting stuff up. I don't know where it's going to go from here, but
you know, it would be fun if in Loki 2, because this was like sort of black and white sepia tone.
Yeah.
This last scene. I hope that in Loki 2, they take a cue from WandaVision and whatever time frame they're in, it sort of changes the style of it, how they film it, the way it looks. I think that would be really cool.
I hope so too. The only stills that have been released, there's very few, but I think they go to a McDonald's in like the 80s or 70s. And their outfits look from that time.
This is what I'm talking about.
So I hope it feel like visually,
right?
It feels that way. Yeah.
And even like in WandaVision, it was like, it looked like I Love Lucy. So that's how it was taped. They did it in front of a live studio audience. And, you know, maybe if they are in the 80s, it's really using that sort of grainy, what looks grainy to us now. It just wasn't high def in any way.
Yeah.
So I think that would be fun to play with it. Like, let's play with the style of it a little more. I think
we're getting Secret Invasion this year and Loki, I believe. Super hyped for both of those. Loki season 2. I mean, Loki is top tier MCU show. It's right up there with WandaVision. I think most people agree, which is fantastic. I really hope they knock it out of the park, but it's going to be our tiptoe closer to whatever they're doing with Kang. I think we're going to get a little bit more answers in that one.
Loki season 2 might be what's propelling this phase
in some way, I guess. Like, how is he gonna come back? Is he gonna like be in our time, like the 616 or whatever? Like, I'm curious to see where the end game is for that character, because it's not our Loki, but it's our Loki now,
right?
Because the other one died. So
I also want to say, with a character like Kang, you can keep like, so actually maybe Loki 2 could affect nothing because they can kill as many Kangs as they want, but there seems like there's infinite Kangs.
Yeah, I mean, he went to another TVA, so it could just be a different TVA, or he rewrote time somehow. I'm excited, though.
Yeah, definitely.
I hope it makes it more confusing, but more interesting.
And I think it's hard because in the first, 2 or 3 phases, everything was so linear.
Right.
Everything was just,
it was all leading to one thing.
This movie was leading to one thing. It was heading to Endgame. Whereas this just feels a little all over the place, especially with the introduction of the television shows. So I'm waiting for it to feel a little more kind of coherent in where we're headed.
I think, I think the place where we're heading is infinite possibilities, but they're also trying to like restart it in a way, having to introduce all these new characters to like carry the MCU after a lot of our characters are gone. So it is an interesting transition period to be in. It's like, I can almost see where you're going, but like, how are we going to get there?
We're in the probability storm of the MCU right now. We just have different timelines popping up all around us. And at some point, they'll all have the same thought and head in a definite direction. Yeah. But we're not there yet.
Yeah. I am very excited to see where Ant-Man goes from here. Like, I think we're not going to see him until the Avengers movie. Because I just can't, unless he pops up in Shang-Chi, or who else is over there on that side? Kate, maybe? I don't know. No, she's in New York. I don't know.
I guess we'll have to wait and see. Yeah. Where is everyone?
Yeah.
I think that there must be like little Lego houses all over the MCU office, and they just keep putting the characters exactly where they're supposed to be. They know, but we might not know.
Well, to even remind themselves.
Right. That's how they keep track.
Too much. Yeah. So, final rating for this movie. What is your rating?
Oh, I guess I'll say, I'm trying to think of like what we've rated other things. I'd give this 3.5.
I give it 3.5 too.
Yeah.
I think we've been agreeing lately, which is weird. On ratings of things. 3.5. I mean, it's like a 3.75.
Yeah, I don't want to give it 4. 4 feels too strong. 5 obviously would be the best. It's not that. 4 is one step below best. I don't think it's there either. But I feel like 3 and below is just mean. So I feel like 3.5 is where I want to leave this.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fine.
Fun, fine, almost fantastic.
Yeah.
But not 4.
Yeah. Not 4. Not fantastic 4.
Not fantastic 4.
Not yet.
Maybe soon.
All right. Well, let us know what you thought.
I would love to know. Both.
Hop on that Discord. Yell at us. Don't yell at us. I'm just kidding. Please don't.
Please nicely talk about what you thought. And be willing to listen to others whose opinions may not be aligned with yours.
Yeah.
About this.
All right. Till next time.
Goodbye. Thanks for listening to A Bite Of. Artwork and editing by our own Noah. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at A Bite Of Pod, and on Facebook at A Bite Of. If you have any questions, recommendations, or just want to say hi, you can contact us on abiteofpod.com. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to spread the word. See you next time on A Bite Of. Bye.